Your colleague, Jess Phillips, rejected the idea of a national inquiry into grooming gangs. Is the reason that that you won't do that is that the one thing that all of these local scandals have in common is the ethnicity, the dominant ethnicity of the gangs involved?
No, the reason we're not doing another national inquiry is because there's already been a national inquiry, and there's Alexis J, who did that inquiry.
But it barely touched on this topic.
Well, hang on.
She herself says it barely touched on this topic. It was not her job.
So two things. Firstly, a good start, and what I think not just historic victims, but victims today, tomorrow, next week deserve, is the full implementation of the Alexis J recommendations. Our predecessors didn't implement one of them. That's the first thing. Secondly,
are you committing to the full implementation?
Yes, we are committed to implementing that report. The second thing to say is, in terms of the local inquiries, it was the Rotherham inquiry, led by Louise Casey, that had the guts to turn around and say, actually, part of the problem there was, yes, corruption, but also the fact that some people were not speaking up for fear of being accused of being racist, and some people were not taking action for fear of upsetting community cohesion. That is not acceptable. So in terms of Oldham, what we've said is we would encourage Oldham to have an inquiry. We would absolutely support them doing that. But in terms of a national inquiry, we've already had one. We should actually just get on with it, which is what the Home Secretary is doing. And you mentioned my colleague, Jess Phillips. The other thing I'd say about the Prime Minister and about Jess Phillips, these are two politicians who have one thing in particular in common. Before they came into politics, they had an actual record of banging up rapists, paedophiles and sex offenders. So they don't need lectures from anyone else, particularly the Conservatives, who did not implement those reports about their record, because I think they've got a very strong one, actually, and that's why, as Prime Minister and as Home Office Minister, they can be trusted to make sure that we bang up more sex offenders and paedophiles and rapists.
And when you say anyone else, does that include Mr Elon Musk, who has said that Jess Phillips should be in jail and Prime Minister allowed paedophiles to get away with it?
Well, it's a ridiculous thing to say. It's ill-informed. It's not fair on either of their records. As Director of Public Prosecutions, Keir Starmer opened up historic cases so that people who got away with it, we went after them.
What's your message to Mr Musk?
I'm not interested in what he's got to say about this. I'm interested in what we're doing as a government, which is actually taking the record and commitment that both the Prime Minister and Jess Phillips and Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, have on this issue to deliver the real change that victims deserve, so that we see more perpetrators behind bars and more women and girls free to walk the streets safe and unhindered by harassment, intimidation, abuse and worse.